Getting a massive influx of cash can be a blessing or a curse depending on what you use it for. But if you're in a position to receive a big cash windfall, what are you actually supposed to do with it? That's exactly what I'm going to talk to you about in this video. We are going to discuss my personal 5 biggest cash windfalls and what I did with them to set me up for a more financially secure future. Hey everyone, my name is Brad, and 10 years ago I was $30,000 in debt and I really had no direction as to where I wanted my life to go. Lucky for me, I soon found out that the path to financial independence is the one I wanted to go down. As you will learn if you subscribe to this channel, I'm not quite there yet, but I am well on my way. And I have a lot to share with you about my journey. So, have you ever heard of those lottery winners that hit it big and then somehow squander it all within a matter of years, burying themselves in more debt than they were before they even won the lotto? That is a good example of bad money management skills. These people didn't have the slightest clue about what to do with a big cash windfall, much less a small cash windfall. We can learn from them. It is never too early to understand what you should do with your money. Have you ever heard the saying, if you can't handle $1,000, you can't handle $1 million? It's just a way of saying, know where to put your money when you get it. Use it as leverage to afford your future self a lifestyle that your past self could not imagine. So let's hop right into it. I will be going through this list in ascending order, meaning the first one will be my smallest and the last one will be my biggest. Be sure to stick around to my last one and let me know if it surprised you. My first biggest cash windfall comes in the form of an options trade that I did in 2021. And I only count it as a cash windfall, but I honestly had no idea what I was doing, so I feel I was lucky. This was October 4th, 2021, and I was just browsing stock when I noticed that Dollar General had recently crashed fairly significantly. For whatever reason, I thought it would be a good idea to purchase 10 call contracts for $5,900, set to expire on February 18th, 2022, at a strike price of $220. Not even a month later, on November 1st, those 10 contracts were worth $14,300, and I decided to sell. This netted me $8,400 on the sale. I really recommend learning about options before you get too excited about this, because honestly, it was blind luck. I immediately turned around and invested all of that money into VTI, which is the low-cost Vanguard Total Stock Market Index Fund. Definitely a better long-term investment compared to options trading. Number 2 on my list of cash windfalls was a refinance on my current home. We never intended to do a cash out refinance, but when rates were so low in 2020, we were able to refinance with better terms and a lower monthly payment. It was then that we found out our previous escrow account was unnecessarily well funded, and we got a check for $10,000 when that account was closed out. That check just went straight into my bank account and stayed there as I was looking for more real estate deals. Coming in at number 3, my next biggest cash windfall was when I made $11,000 in 3 days selling on Amazon. I really recommend checking out my full video on this where I go into more detail, especially if you are thinking about getting into Amazon FBA. I will link that in the description section. You absolutely don't want to miss it. After the initial shock of selling out my product in 3 days, I put all that money into buying more products in even higher quantities. Ultimately, after selling out that next batch, I decided that selling on Amazon was not really my passion for a few different reasons, which I go into more detail about in the standalone video. All in all, I ended up profiting $17,000 selling on Amazon. All of that money went towards renovations for my first investment property, which I ended up selling a few years later. Keep going until number 5 for the numbers on that one. Number 4 is unique because I'd never heard of it before it happened. It is what is called a retention bonus. Back in 2017, I was working for a small local company here in Orlando, and we were acquired by a huge publicly traded company. Lucky for me, they really needed my team to continue working and not jump ship. So what did they do? They came up to me and said, hey Brad, we want to give you a $25,000 retention bonus if you agree to stay with us for another year. Little did they know, I had no intention of leaving. So that was just an extra bonus that I thought I'd never see in the first place. The way that it worked is that I would get half if I lasted 6 months and the other half if I lasted 12 months. I got both checks. But unfortunately, if you know anything about taxes, these type of bonuses are taxed differently than ordinary income. They were both taxed at 35%, so $25,000 quickly became $16,250. That was kind of a hit to the gut. But like I said, the bonus was unexpected in general. Similar to my previous windfall, the majority of that cash went into renovating my quadplex, and some of it went into funding my honeymoon in 2018. Are you ready for the cash windfall that made me realize my life as an investor would never be the same? Coming in at number 5, my biggest cash windfall to date was when I sold my quadplex in 2019. After realtor fees, which we negotiated down to 4.5%, and paying off the initial mortgage and closing costs, I was wired $348,412, which was shocking to me at the time, and it is still shocking to me right now. And this right here is the whole entire point of this channel, to help you understand the power of making the right investments. Funny enough, I actually regret selling that property because right now it's worth well over $1 million. When I sold that property, my salary at my job was $60,000. So I almost made 6 times my salary on the sale of that property alone. But did I mention I didn't pay a single cent of tax on the sale of that quadplex? That's because if you are living in your investment property, you can claim homestead exemption, assuming it's 4 units and under. And claiming homestead exemption means when you go to sell, you are taxed at 0% up to $500,000 in profit assuming you're married and filing jointly. If you want me to do a full video on my quadplex from how I bought it to the sale and lessons learned, please leave a comment below. Now, what did I do with all that money? We were able to put a down payment on the house we currently live in. We quit our jobs and took a 6-month trip around the world pre-pandemic. I put a lot into the stock market after the pandemic crash. I bought a vacant piece of land that I'm going to build an 8-unit apartment building on. And the rest is sitting in cash, waiting for another real estate deal. Real quick before I do a recap, I wanted to encourage you to subscribe to this channel. It is the only form of currency that I have that tells me whether or not I'm making videos that you actually care about. If you are interested in investing, building your net worth, and making more money, you are definitely going to find this channel extremely valuable. Okay, so let's wrap this thing up. As you can see, I took full advantage of every one of my cash windfalls by reinvesting in things that will eventually pay off in my future. Some of them, of course, have already paid off big time. Let's go through them in order. We had $8,400 from the Dollar General options contract, which I count as luck. And if you're going to get into options trading, I very much recommend starting small and learning as much as possible before jumping in. Next, we had the unexpected $10,000 from the refinance of my current home. By the way, I would not recommend refinancing your home right now due to the crazy high interest rates. Back then, we were able to lock in a rate of 2.75%. Number 3 was the $11,000 that I made in 3 days selling on Amazon. Again, I recommend watching the full video on that, which I have linked in the description section. Coming in at number 4 was the $25,000 retention bonus that I received after the company that I worked for was acquired by a large publicly traded corporation. Let this be a lesson to you to make sure you're providing a ton of value to your employer. Last but certainly not least, we had the sale of my quadplex, which had me seeing $348,412 transferred to my bank account. This, of course, surpasses all my others by a massive margin. And it is the reason that I am so gung-ho about investment real estate. What is your favorite cash windfall? I am interested to hear all of yours and what you did with them. That's it for now. Until next time, keep at it. Burying them. Have you ever heard the saying, if you can, I will be when I noticed that it was then that we found out our previous escrow account was